Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. It is time for another reading Reddit session, and today we will be checking out Am I the Asshole Post's Wedding Edition. Alright, so our first story comes from engineer number 8714. Am I the asshole for blocking my best friend of 10 years over her bullshit wedding? Ooh, I have a feeling that we are starting off today's episode with a juicy one. So me, 31 female, and my ex-best friend, 33 female, have known each other for 10 plus years. We met at work during our university co-op terms and were attached at the hip pretty much since. But a couple of weeks ago, I blocked her on everything and wished her goodwill with no explanation. Am I the asshole? For context, last year, we decided to move our lives across the country separately. I had a lifelong ambition of moving to the West Coast, and her long term, long distance boyfriend was relocating to the country for work. The move had been very stressful for me, and I had incurred a lot of costs. To say I was stressed about the move and changes in my life, in addition to finances, is an understatement, understandably. We promised to visit one another every couple of months to share costs and saw it as an investment to keep our friendship strong. Within 3 months, I went to visit her and her partner for the week. Things were going well until one day her partner came home and said they will be evicted from their housing if they do not prove they're married. Turns out committing fraud with a foreign military for free rent is not the best idea. Instead of accepting responsibility for scheming the housing requirements that only allows married couples free housing and move the closest city away, which is about 20 minutes and has very reasonable rent, they decided to get married. This quickly went from a courthouse marriage with a we'll just get divorced if it doesn't work out attitude to a destination wedding in the middle of a national park 13 plus hours away in approximately 5 weeks' time. My friend guilted me into being the only witness to legitimize the marriage, seeing as the boyfriend was an immigrant who knew no one in the country and everyone else they knew lived on the other side of the country still. I made it very clear that I couldn't get the time off of work and the money I needed to spend, approximately $2,000, was way too much. Over the next 5 weeks, our relationship deteriorated because of the strain it was putting on me, and I had several panic attacks. I was basically guilted into feeling responsible for them being homeless. Meanwhile, they make more money combined than my partner and I, and work for the government and the military. Those are pretty good jobs. The wedding also meant that she guilted her retired parents from forking over thousands of dollars for last minute flights and accommodations. She insisted that there was no other option and there would be no second wedding. I was also forced to choose between this impromptu wedding and another girlfriend's wedding who had been planned for months but wasn't my best friend. I later deeply regretted this for obvious reasons. Since the wedding, I have felt nothing but anger. The panic attacks and medications meant I couldn't enjoy a glass of champagne at the wedding because of potential seizures and complications. To which she said, "Great, you can be the DD." The list of salt and wound comments goes on. I told her I was very hurt by many things and thought I needed to take space from our friendship. That's when the gaslighting started, which basically meant I had to prove to her that she did so wrong to deserve the silent treatment. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago, she posted a second wedding on her Instagram. A whole second wedding, no invite, no heads up, no nothing. I was beside myself and decided to block her with no explanation, just wished her good luck in life. Am I the asshole for throwing it away or is it justified? Dear OP, no, you are not the asshole, at least in my opinion, but based on other people's comments on your post, they don't think you're the asshole either, but a lot of people do think that you are somewhat of a pushover. And I honestly, it's kind of true. I mean, One comment here says that it's your fault. Not really your fault, but you did this to yourself for being that type of friend, for being the type of person that would allow a friend to do this to you. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of pressure behind the term best friend. Once you call somebody your best friend, once you've been friends for so long, it's kind of hard to say no to them. Or sometimes we just give them a pass about what their behavior is, even if we don't agree with certain things that they do or say. We just kind of brush it off because we're best friends. And honestly, that's not a good thing. Um, Also, if she's gaslighting you and blaming you for stuff that you didn't do, in my opinion, you should have just gone to your other friend's wedding, to be honest, because that had been planned for months. And I'm pretty sure that other friend kind of feels bad about you not going to her wedding and being at this shotgun wedding instead. I think if you attended the other friend's wedding, you might have enjoyed a little bit more, even if you were on medication. Yeah. So you are not the asshole. And if you think this is the right decision, blocking her and having no contact with her is going to give you peace, it's going to keep your sanity intact, then go ahead and push through with it. All right, so our second story comes from OK ambition 6036. Am I the asshole for telling my sister her daughter was in the wrong at her wedding? Seems like another juicy one. I, 43 female, have a 17-year-old daughter. We were recently at my sister's wedding. It was a small gathering of mainly friends and family. My daughter also got to bring her boyfriend of 3 years to the wedding, and I didn't see a problem with it as long as they don't do anything too bad afterwards. The ceremony was fine. After that is when it started to go downhill. My sister's daughter is a bit older than mine, but they have always been close growing up. The problem arose when my daughter went to the bar to get her and her boyfriend sodas. Her cousin then sat down next to her boyfriend and started to flirt with him. I was not present at the moment as I was talking to the photographer, but from what I heard from my husband's perspective is that she kept pushing herself onto him and he kept on politely trying to get her to stop. Once my daughter started walking back, her cousin then kisses him. Then my husband stepped in and pulled her off. My daughter looked heartbroken and just walked out. Her boyfriend then followed her. My husband then told my sister what happened and left her to deal with her daughter and then went on to tell me. When he did, I immediately went to try and find my daughter, and I did after a bit. I saw her and her boyfriend talking by a small lake on the venue. I went over and asked if she was okay. She said she'd be fine, but she just couldn't see her cousin for today and asked to go back to the hotel. I understood and told her that I would be back to check on her soon. I then gave her boyfriend a look saying not to try anything, and he nodded. When I walked back into the main area, I see my sister talking to our mother, who looked very angry. Apparently, her daughter had been intoxicated, and my mother went to a private room with my niece to try and sober her up a bit. I didn't see her again, and when I got back to the hotel, my daughter and her boyfriend were fast asleep, cuddling with Gilmore Girls on the background. I got a couple photos and then decided that they were responsible enough to control themselves. I then shared a room with my husband. In the morning, I walked into their room to see them laughing. They were playing a game of Uno and watching some old comedy. Cute. I talked to them about the night before and asked her how she felt about it. She said she was angry at her cousin and felt like she should be punished. I agreed and told her that she did the right thing leaving the wedding. We went down for breakfast and saw my sister, her new husband, and her daughter and 3-year-old son sat at the table eating. Me and my husband took a table next to them with my parents and other siblings while my daughter and her boyfriend got their own table. My mother asked what happened and I told her. She said what cousin did was wrong but she was drunk and high. I then said that that's not excuse for harassment and what she did was horrible. My sister then said it's not harassment and it was just a kiss. Boyfriend. I knew my daughter and her boyfriend could hear the conversation, and I was determined to make sure what her cousin did was not excused. We argued for a while, and now my whole family, apart from my husband and youngest brother, are against me. We left right after we finished. I am astonished that my family is excusing this. I can tell daughter's boyfriend is uncomfortable with what happened, but feels like he will be told it's not a big deal. It's been 3 days and I've not spoken to any of them except for my youngest brother. He understands. His fiance went through something similar as 18. Am I the asshole here? Definitely not, sweetheart. First of all, I have thoughts about what the sister said, that it wasn't harassment because it was just a kiss. Now, it is still harassment. It's still SA. Even though it was done to a man or to a boy, it's still harassment because it was non consensual. Also, if I were the sister, if I were the bride, I would get pretty freaking annoyed with my daughter. I mean, this is supposed to be my day. This is my wedding, and you're here drunk and high. I would have told her to go back to her hotel, honestly, if even if she were my daughter. So no, OP, you are definitely not the asshole in this scenario. Let's take a look at other people's comments. And I don't know if you can hear, but my cat is here. Yes, lab. If not the asshole. Your family is literally supporting sexual assault. If the roles were reversed and a young man was drunk and forced a kiss on an underage female, society would clearly call that sexual assault. There is no difference. I'm assuming since your niece was drunk, she was of drinking age. Your family might want to consider Googling the question: is an unwanted kiss sexual assault? Not the asshole changed the genders and this would be explosive. This is sexual assault and you didn't ask the victim if he was okay. Regardless, going to the heart of the matter, the cousins need to talk since they were close. There also needs to be an apology. I agree. Your niece definitely needs to explain herself to your daughter and profusely apologize, not just to her, but to her boyfriend as well. And if I were the niece, I would also apologize to the rest of the family. I'm not sure if anyone else saw that, but that's quite embarrassing to be honest. Also, I don't really get why the rest of your family is mad at you. I mean, you are clearly not in the wrong for this. The didn't even confront your sister during the wedding. You were considerate enough to wait until the next morning. So, you are definitely not the asshole here. All right, so our third story for today comes from capital underscore manager underscore 7070. Am I the asshole for refusing to wear the wedding dress my sister in law gave to me as a wedding gift? Let's see. I, 27 female, met my fiance Jacob, 31 male, when I was 21. We've been together for 6 years and engaged for almost a year out of those. My mother's wedding dress has been passed down for generations, and I remember being a little girl dreaming of walking down the aisle in it. We have recently been wedding planning, and we were invited to a dinner hosted by my fiance's family that was on Sunday. When we arrived, we greeted everyone and sat at the table to eat. Sister in law stood up and tapped her spoon against her glass and said that she had to make a toast. She then said that she would be right back before going into another room and returning with a large plastic bag. Everyone seemed to be excited, but I just felt confused. I awkwardly smiled as I asked my sister in law what was inside the bag. She then opened it up to reveal her wedding dress from her wedding, which was 2 years ago. Everyone began clapping as sister in law announced that this was her official wedding gift to us, and she wanted me to wear her dress at the wedding. I tried to smile, but I guess I didn't do a good job of hiding my disappointment, and everyone began asking me what was wrong. I tried to explain how I wanted to wear my mother's dress and that it was nothing personal, but that I refused to wear my sister in law's dress. My sister in law then began crying as my in laws began tearing into me and comforting her. I just burst into tears and ran outside. My fiance didn't even come after me, and after crying my eyes out on the steps for what felt like hours, he finally came outside and yelled at me to get into the car. I was so confused, but I got into the car just to hear him berate me on how I made such a big scene and embarrassed him in front of his family. He sounded so mad, and he even said he couldn't believe he chose to marry such a bitchy cunt. Those were his exact words. My fiance also said how sister in law was just trying to be nice and that her dress was more modern compared to my mother's dress, which looked like an old rag. Also, his exact words. I tried to tell him how much my mother's wedding dress meant to me because I promised her that I would wear it. I felt like my fiance's family planned this and put me on the spot, thinking I wouldn't stand up for myself and just agree to wear my sister in law's dress. I don't think I did anything wrong, but part of me thinks that I should have just gone along with it and then told my sister in law in private that I wouldn't be wearing the dress. Am I the asshole? I have a lot of thoughts. You are definitely not the asshole in this scenario, my dear. I mean, aside from the fact that you promised your mother that you would be wearing her wedding dress to your own wedding, it has been your dream ever since you were a kid, and that is my cat playing with her toy. I mean, on the last part, you said maybe you should have handled this differently and just went along with it and tell your sister in law in public. Yeah, that would have been a good idea. However, you were put on the spot and you didn't really have a lot of time to think about this. I mean, for me, a good option would be telling her that you wanted to wear your mother in law's dress for the wedding ceremony, but you would then change to her wedding dress for the reception. That's just that's just my idea of how to make it a little more less dramatic. I mean, you're still getting what you want, and his family's also getting what they want, even though it's not really their wedding and nobody should really care about what they want. Anyway, my question is, are you still pushing through with this wedding? Because not only did your fiance not have your back, he also called you a bitchy cunt. And he called your mother's wedding dress an old rag. Honestly, I don't think your sister in law is the asshole either because she was just trying to be nice. She was just trying to maybe start this tradition and give you a family heirloom. Something, it's the same sentiments as your mother, basically. She wanted to pass down something to you. So I don't think your sister in law was the asshole either. Their parents are not assholes too. It's just your fiance. So Opie, if you see this, I hope you really think this wedding through. Are you really going to be happy with a man that does not support you, does not back you up, and talks about you like this? If he talks like this in front of you, imagine the things that he could say behind your back. Anyway, let's take a look at the comments. Ma'am, you need to leave that whole family behind, including your fiance. Definitely not the asshole. You just had a peek into your future if you carry on with this relationship. Exactly. OP, do not waste your mama's wedding dress on this man because he does not deserve it. I literally gasped at bitchy cunt. OP, you would be the absolute asshole to yourself if you don't return the ring and dump that entire family. Be thankful that he is showing you who he really is before you marry him. You just had a glimpse of what your future is going to look like if you go through with this wedding. See, it's not just me. Everybody thinks that she should not push through with this wedding, and I really hope she thinks this through, especially if he's not willing to change how he treats her. Hey, bitchy cunt. Don't you dare marry that man. I agree. Return your sister in law's dress and return your ring. So this was posted 2 months ago, and there has been no update if OP actually got married. Let me check OP's profile. Ooh. Oh, there is an update. There is an update. Hold on. All right. So the update was posted 2 months ago as well, so not long after the initial post. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone in the comments supporting me and all of the private messages reaching out. I haven't got to all of them, but I'll try to whenever I can. I really didn't expect so many people to see my post, but I just want to make it clear how grateful I am. If you haven't seen my original post, you can check out my profile. I know a majority of you told me to leave him, and I took some time to think about it, but I know I can't leave without a proper conversation. At the end of the day, I spent 6 years with this man, and this behavior was honestly out of the ordinary. I agree with a lot of the comments saying that his family was influencing him because he used to be so caring and kind, but ever since the wedding planning began, he changed. Since the dinner on Sunday, he hasn't been talking to me at all and always leaves the room whenever I come in. His honestly immature behavior and all of your comments have made me rethink my whole relationship. Good. I did end up making him sit down with me a few hours ago to talk about the things and have an adult conversation. He was very dismissive and was just scrolling on his phone for a majority of the time. I tried to explain how I felt put on the spot at the dinner and how his reaction and the fact he didn't come after me or comfort me post the dinner was so hurtful and disrespectful. All he had to say in response was that I was being selfish and that my sister in law was just trying to help, and I had just embarrassed her in front of everyone. The conversation honestly went nowhere, and I felt really shitty and lost. Around an hour ago, he came up to me and apologized, saying that he was sorry and that he understood how I was feeling. I asked what we would do about the dress, and he told me that he had talked to sister in law and she had agreed to let me wear my mother's dress during the reception, but I would wear her dress during the main ceremony. It should be the other way around. Your mother's dress is more important than her dress. Just saying. I admit I kind of lost it because he said it as if I needed permission to wear my wedding dress on my wedding day. I haven't felt so disrespected in my life. I've just been sitting inside our bedroom and I'm pretty sure things are over after this. I will admit my mother's dress is slightly old fashioned, but I had talked to him before we got engaged about how it was my dream to wear it, which he had no problems with at first. The fact that he didn't respect how sentimental it was to me is what hurt. Also, during our second conversation, he kept bringing up how his family was paying for a majority of the wedding, which, yes, they were paying about 75% of it. But I tried to remind him that it was my wedding too. Yes, I am leaving him for sure now. This is her second edit. I'm leaving him for sure now. I really don't appreciate the comments calling me bad names for staying. I never intended to stay, and the only reason I thought we needed a conversation was because this behavior was recent and I wanted to understand what was going on. I haven't told him that it was over officially, though it should be obvious yet, mainly because I'm scared he might do something violent, as many comments said. I need a few days to figure out things, and I'm gonna tell my brother to pick me up so I can stay there for a few days. I'm logging off for now, but I'll update if anything happens. And she hasn't updated ever since, so I'm kind of worried. I might message OP after filming this video just to ask her if she's alright. But yeah. Um uh just because his family is paying around 75% of the wedding doesn't mean that they can control everything. I mean, of course, they still get to give their opinions out, but at the end of the day, this is your and your fiance's wedding, which is no longer happening. So, who really cares at this point? I'm glad that you decided to leave him. You definitely do not want to be with a man who talks to you that way. And just remember that you might have wasted You might feel that you wasted 6 years of your life with this man, but at least he showed you his true colors before you got married, before anything was official. So, OP, you are not the asshole, and I am very happy for you. I hope you are safe, and I hope you finally told him that it's over. And that is pretty much all the time that we have for today's video. I will be uploading a part 2 on Am I the Asshole Wedding Edition soon. So, um, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on my next video.